Hello there, Carpologists. I'm Joe, and today we're going to be taking a look at how to improve your spodding. Before we jump into this video, make sure you are subscribed and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any future videos coming out from us, especially when there's giveaways like there is in this video. All you got to do is stick around to the end, find out how to get involved and get your hands on a brand new spod rod. So let's break this down into 5 simple segments. And segment number 1 is using the right tackle. Now, although it's not the end of the world to use an old crusty carp rod and reel you've got lying around in the shed, you'll find that the job is a lot more difficult if you do. That's because that setup isn't geared towards spodding, whereas having a dedicated setup you'll find it's much easier, and the tackle will last a lot longer as well because it's built for the pressures, stresses and strains that the rod goes under when you're spodding. So today I've got with me the new 𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗄 spod rod. This is the 12-foot 5-pound from CARPology. They've also got a 12-foot 5-pound and a 10-foot 5-pound in the range as well. So the 12-foot is a good all-rounder, great for where I am today, not massive distances, nice and comfortable. The 12-foot 6, greater distances, and again the 10-foot probably shorter distances, but that's not to say the 10-foot won't whack a good distance as well. It's all down to what you're comfortable with, really. Paired up with the rod is the black bomber spod reel, again fit for purpose and designed for spodding. As you can see, the first thing you're going to notice is the huge spool on it. That's to aid 2 things. One, casting. You've got a bigger spool, so the line's flying off much easier, and also retrieval. So the retrieval rate is greater because you're casting frequently. You don't want to be getting tired out dragging in your spod from a large distance with a piddly reel that doesn't retrieve fast enough. Nice big handle as well to help with that retrieval rate, and a grippy rubberized handle so your hand's not going to be slipping off when you're using sloppy spod mixes as well. And on top of that, I've got the wrap-up braid, which is their dedicated spod and marker braid. 0 stretch, as you'd expect from braid. You really don't want to go down the mono or fluoro route because you've got stretch. It's not going to cast as well, and this is just fit for purpose. If you're casting really big distances, that's when you want to introduce a shock leader, which is a shorter length of line which attaches to the main bulk of line, just to take that initial inertia of the cast, especially when you're using bigger spods and greater distances. Where I'm fishing today, not a great distance, so I don't need that, and it's not needed for the safety purposes. And to finish it all off, safety. You want to have a finger stall. This just protects your finger when you're casting out, because using braid and whacking spods a large distance, that's when you could damage your finger, potentially cut your skin, cut the top of your finger off basically. This will protect you from that, and also locking the spool completely solid so there's no slip in the line. Point number 2 is knowing your limits. Now, I'm not talking about how much you can drink on a night out. It's a good job Luke isn't here right now because he is pretty useless on a night out. But I'm on about how far you can cast consistently and comfortably. Now, it's all well and good getting a single 120, 130, 140 yards. But if you want to get some bait on top of that and you struggle with a spod rod, then there's no point in fishing that sort of distance. So it might be worth bringing your rod back 10, 20 yards to a more comfortable range and making sure that you can hit that distance with your spod for however long your session is. Especially if you're doing a longer session, you're going to get more tired and you're going to struggle to hit those distances later on in the week. Make sure that you start your week at a very comfortable distance. Point number 3, accuracy. So you found your spots of your rod and now you want to get some bait out there. So now it's time to make sure you're fishing accurately. Now, I'm fishing at 14.5 wraps to the island, and I know that I'm going to have to bring this back a little bit so that I'm not landing directly on top. Because I'm using an air bomb, these ones open in the air and disperse the bait a bit more freely. Whereas if you're using a more traditional bait application, that's where you want to clip up almost identical distance to where you're fishing. Now, I've already clipped this up about 1.5 rods shorter than where I'm fishing, so that's opening in the air and deploying all the bait on my baited spot. Now, not only do I want to get the distance exactly right, I want to make sure I'm casting in the right direction. That's where you want to look at your far markers, tree lines, maybe different features on the horizon, and have that marker to aim at, not only in the day, but especially when it comes to night, when all you can see is silhouettes and you want to get a bit more bait out after you've just had a fish. Knowing where you're pointing the rod and having it clipped up at the right distance means there's no reason you can't be just as accurate in the night as you are in the day. Point 4 is consistency. So you're all clipped up and you've got your horizon marker. Now, mine is a little dip in the far tree line for at night, just to the right of that. I know it's on the right spot. In the day, I know I'm just to the right of the tree on the island. But now I need to make sure I stand in exactly the same place as well. So my marker is the front buzzer bar on my rod rest. So if I stand here, I know that it's going to be the same every single time I cast. If I take a few steps back, that's going to bring the spod a few yards back when it opens up there, so the bait's going to land in a different place. And the same happens if I step left or right. That's going to have a direct relation to where the bait is deployed in the lake. So keeping that consistent means that you're going to be much more accurate. Bait's going to keep landing in the right place. You're not going to be spraying bait all over your swim and not keeping the fish in one condensed area. You'll find that you'll get into a rhythm and that you get cast quicker, more consistently, and far more accurate. Remember the finger still, and lock up the clutch. As I said about having the right tackle, I'm really easily hitting those distances, and bringing it back in is super quick with a dedicated reel. And that will all aid in how fast you can bait up and how easy it feels, and you won't be as tired at the end of the day. Perfect every time. And point 5, keep it clean. Now we keep every other item of tackle nice and clean, so don't neglect your spot and marker rod. This goes under way more abuse than any other item of tackle, and it gets caked in all sorts of crud. So make sure you just clean off the rod, clean off the reel, and make sure that no grime and horrible stuff gets up under in the reel, and it's nicer than using crusty old spot and marker rod. So after every baiting up session, if it's really sloppy, rinse it off, and at the end of the session, make sure it goes away nice and clean as well. So there we go, 5 pointers on how to improve your spodding. Now, if point number 1 was the biggest drawback that you have right now, which is having the right tackle, then this is where the competition I mentioned at the start can come to your aid. If you get involved, you are in with a chance of winning the exact setup I've been using today, which is the 12-foot bomber rod and the bomber reel. You can also get your hands on the 12'6" bomber rod and the 10-foot bomber rod. All you got to do is follow the link in the description below, get involved, and good luck. And remember, make sure that you like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of these future videos, and stick around for more videos. I'll see you again soon.